Brooklyn Independent Television.
Coming up on Healthbeat Brooklyn. Does this sound like you?
I struggled with my weight for many, many years. I tried every diet that is available.
The liquid diet, the cabbage diet, the all-meat diet, the protein diet.
Maintaining a healthy weight can sometimes feel like a steep uphill battle, especially for those who are obese and morbidly obese.
What percent of the population approximately is morbidly obese?
It is about 6 to 7% of individuals in this country now are considered morbidly obese, which means that their health and their life are at immediate risk.
Can weight loss surgery be the answer? Our panel discusses the reasons behind this rising epidemic.
I mean, as a society, sometimes we think more is better. We take in more calories in terms of extra fat, extra sugar.
Plus, the risks and rewards of bariatric surgery.
Stand up and show people.
All this and more on Healthbeat Brooklyn.
Welcome to Healthbeat Brooklyn on Brooklyn Independent Television. I'm Dr. Monica Sweeney. Now that we're several months into the year, is it time to reevaluate those New Year's resolutions, those promises to lose that extra weight, to eat healthier, to exercise more? But for those who have truly significant weight to lose, sometimes diet and exercise just isn't enough. According to the Centers for Disease Control in 2010, more than 1/3 of U.S. adults and 17% of children and adolescents aged 2 to 19 were classified as obese. And it seems like the numbers are likely to rise, meaning we will inevitably see an increase in health risks like heart disease, type 2 diabetes, hypertension, and certain types of cancer. What are the underlying reasons for this great epidemic? What are the options for millions of Americans struggling with this debilitating condition? For example, you may have heard the terms bariatric, gastric bypass, or lap band surgery. But what exactly are they? And are they really safe, viable options? Here with me to answer these questions are Dr. Piotr Gorecki, Director of Bariatric Surgery at New York Methodist Hospital. Joining us are one of Dr. Gorecki's patients, Susan Meyer, and Juan Batista, a registered dietitian nutritionist with Lutheran Medical Center Surgical Weight Loss Institute. And thank you all for being here. So we heard what the statistics are. It's a big problem. I mean, we don't even have to hear the statistics, we just have to walk in the street. Dr. Gorecki, what are you seeing in your practice?
Well, the truth is that probably this generation, first time in our recent lifetime, will not outlive our parents.
Right.
The lifetime expectancy is plateaued in spite of advances in medical care and health care and treatment of certain cancers and heart conditions, because the epidemics of obesity is tremendously on the rise. And as a matter of fact, as you mentioned, 2/3 of U.S. populations are overweight, 1/3 is obese, and that carries significant burden on their health and their life.
As a matter of fact, it's important to note, we've always talked about smoking. We've done a lot of programs about it. But now, obesity.
Correct. As the trends sort of crisscross, the smoking is on a significant decrease because of patients' awareness and paying attention to quality of life and enjoying the smoke-free environment. Whereas the obesity, for many reasons, they are very multifactorial: genetics, the environment, everything plays a huge role and is on tremendous increase.
Juan, what do you see? Well, you know, you are a dietitian, nutritionist. What do you see that you think may be responsible for this increase?
Well, in terms of diet, in terms of food, we as a society are taking in more calories that we're taking out. In terms of food, we gain weight. One of the reasons why we gain weight is because we take in more calories.
So you mean we need to balance what we take in and what we expend?
Yes.
It's fuel. Food is fuel, is that right?
Yes, it is.
Okay,
Yes,
so what else do we do that's wrong?
So we, in terms of extra calories, we take in larger portions. I mean, as a society, sometimes we think more is better. And so we take in larger portions at our meals. We take in more calories in terms of extra fat, extra sugar, and that, in the long run, can lead to weight gain.
You know, drinking sugary drinks.
Yes.
Have you noticed that a lot of
Yes.
people drink a lot of sugary drinks?
Yes, yes. We see that
And
a
think
lot.
that doesn't
Yes.
account for calories?
Yes, we call that liquid calories because it does affect. We've seen that extra consumption of high sugary foods or high sugar sweet drinks can lead to weight gain, such as soda, iced tea, even the
What about
the energy.
juice?
Even juice, yes, even extra juice can lead to weight gain.
But here
so-
we have Susan here, looking wonderful.
Thank you.
What's your story?
My story is that I struggled with my weight for many, many years. I tried every diet that is available.
That's a very common story, isn't it? Every diet available. I bet you could name 100 of them that you tried. The liquid diet, the cabbage diet, the all meat diet, the protein diet.
Whatever was brought to the discussion, with the other girls, we tried, and you are enthusiastic at first, and you might see some results, but it's a tedious process that never seems to last as long as you might need it to. And
What would happen to you that would make you not be able to stay on the diet?
eventually, you might have cravings for other foods. You might gain instead of losing, despite your efforts. And it just seems like as my weight progressed, and I gained a significant amount of weight as an adult, that there seemed like there was so much that I had to lose that even 5 pounds was just a drop in the bucket.
Sure.
And it seemed like a defeating, endless process.
And then you met Dr. Gorecki. This story is going to have a happy ending in case you can't tell.
Dr. Gorecki changed my life. I went to him feeling hopeless, but I had been doing some research online and speaking to other people about the surgery. I knew some people who had gone through the surgery who were encouraging to me, and I had also heard negative stories about being very fearful about surgical weight loss.
Well, why don't we address that? Because there are a lot of stories out there. Dr. Gorecki, how safe is having these surgeries? And could you briefly tell us, very briefly, about the most common 2 or 3 procedures that are used, very briefly?
They are extremely safe in terms of talking about the safety of surgery. Every surgery carries many risks, including risk of anesthetic, risk of bleeding, infection, some other not that directly related risks such as pulmonary embolism or clots, pneumonias. In other words, anything can happen. But then we have to look into the statistics. And statistic is such that at this point, the mortality from bariatric surgery in this country is about 0.3%, which is 1 out of 300, which is much safer than a joint replacement or cardiac surgery or any other operations than we do primarily for quality of life. Now, we also have improved on a technique, making it much less invasive so that people can walk a few hours after the operations.
So what's the most common one that's done now?
Most common,
that you do?
Well, we give all the patients choices, and there are 3 mainstream operations that are approved by insurance companies. Again, it's very important to mention that all insurance companies, including government, Medicare, Medicaid, covers these operations because we go for the health benefit primarily. And we treat the cosmetic outcomes, meaning the weight loss, the way that people feel better and look better, as a secondary collateral plus. But we go for resolution of comorbidities such as diabetes, high blood pressure, sleep apnea, and that's primarily the reason why all these insurance companies are covering this. Now, in terms of choices, there are many operations out there, but within last probably 5-10 years, the 3 operations became a mainstream, meaning gastric bypass, still the best, with a best weight loss and resolution of comorbidities results. We have a lap band, which is traditionally viewed as the least invasive, the quickest, and also another benefit, it's adjustable. In other words, we can regulate potentially the amount of weight people wish or want to lose.
Which one did you have?
I chose the gastric bypass. At first, I was fearful of the procedure, but I went to the educational seminars that Dr. Gorecki is mentioning, and I took my mother with me because I felt that she would be the level-headed one to help guide me through the process. And after listening to some of the patients and the procedure, I decided that if both are surgical procedures, the lap band does not offer as much a weight loss result as the gastric bypass. And the idea that I had to be going through constant readjustments and having a foreign object in my body, I didn't like that idea. So I felt that I wanted to do something that was final and permanent, and I would just live with the results. And I felt very safe in Dr. Gorecki's hands.
How much weight have you lost?
I have lost 122 pounds. Another person has climbed off my back.
122 pounds?
Yes.
How long did it take you to lose the first 50 pounds?
I would say within the first year or 6 months, I would say 6 months.
You lost
to
the first 50 pounds?
Yes.
Having the gastric bypass, Juan, are there dietary things that you have to look out for once you have the gastric bypass?
Definitely. Not only with the gastric bypass, but with all surgeries, the patient still has to follow certain dietary guidelines, certain dietary rules. In terms of the gastric bypass, the intake of concentrated sweets is something we discourage. That can lead to dumping syndrome, which is not a very pleasant experience.
Tell them in layman's terms what dumping syndrome is.
Oh, okay. In layman's terms, dumping syndrome is when a patient takes in either sweets or a very high-fat food. The body doesn't tolerate it well, and the symptoms include diarrhea. It could include flushing.
The diarrhea is the biggie. That's the dumping syndrome.
Yes,
okay. What else? So they can avoid that.
Right,
so it's not a big deal.
Right.
You've made up in your mind,
Yes.
you've lost 50 pounds, you're not going to go and eat high fat and high sweets.
Right.
What other things? What about vitamins?
Yes, very important too with the vitamins. A patient who goes for weight loss surgery has to understand that they need to take vitamins for the rest of their lives to complement their food intake, because one of the ways the surgery works is by limiting how much a person could eat. So that's a good thing in the sense of helping the patient lose weight. But the concern or what we have to watch out for is that because they're not taking in so much, they may not be able to take in a lot of vitamins
That they need to have,
right.
that are essential vitamins.
That are essentials, right.
Now, one picture's worth 1,000 words, but, I want you to stand up and show people how you look. Just stand up and show people. Whoa. And that other person is gone from and that is.
I went from a size 22 to a size 4'6".
There you are.
And I feel very happy.
The thing speaks for itself. That is wonderful. And so do you have a way for Susan or other one of your really successful people, because they're great advertisement for you know that, of course. Do you have a way for them to talk to other people who are considering it? How do you educate people who are considering it?
Sure. We have a 2-a-month structured education seminar and support groups. And we can, anybody who's interested can find it on the hospital website. And I give a talk for about an hour educating on options.
How often do you do that?
We're doing it twice a month. So options of surgery, the selection criteria when bypass, pluses, minuses, sleeve, lap band, all these options are very viable, and the fact that we do all of them means that all of them have a place. And based on individual expectations, we categorize, we're trying to assign operation to a given individual. Now, having said that, Again, with all of these operations are viable, and very rarely one operation will be contraindicated to the given patient. So it's mainly sort of gut feeling and personal preference what we go for. Now, those structured meetings also are followed by group discussions and education seminars. And
what about figuring out where someone's head is psychologically, so that you improve the possibility that this is going to work well? Do you have any psychologists or psychiatrists talk to the patients?
Sure. One of the prerequisites for surgery, including the insurance requirements, is visit with psychologists and psychiatrists. We do have it as part of the preparation protocols. We also, everybody has to meet with nutritionists.
I was just going to ask, does Juan play a role in this as well?
And has 6 months of medically documented weight loss attempts. And that is really something that allows people, number one, to put their body and mind into the best preparation and best sort of fight mood for the operation, and also to make sure they understand it's a process. It may not be possible for patients to understand all the pros and cons of bariatric surgery within a one visit or one education session. It's a little dissociated process. It takes reading the brochures, going on the internet, attending support group to make sure that all the questions are answered and patients are
You know, Susan, you said something when we were walking into the studio or earlier about something happened to you that changed your relationship with food.
Yeah.
Would you talk about that a little bit?
Food was always a struggle in the fact that when I ate, apparently I gained weight. There are those out there that don't have to worry about that, but I did. And as my weight progressed and it became harder and harder to lose on my own, it was very difficult for me. And after the surgery, it doesn't seem that I have to think about dieting anymore, because whatever situation I'm in, I don't have that desire. I know that I have a certain limit of what my body can take in, because I have a very tiny stomach now. So it gets full very easily. But it's not just that, it's that the desire seems to have been taken away. I often say it's like I had a surgical brain procedure as well as
the stomach and the intestine
procedure, because I just don't seem to have that desire to eat. And when I do, I'm eating based on the nutritional guidelines, and what my body seems to feel best with are healthier foods. A little bit goes a long way. I'm eating foods that are nutritionally more sufficient for my body than before.
Is this a common experience with people who have the surgery?
Yes, very much so. And that's really what is the beauty about bariatric surgery, that people are naturally less hungry. So they can think, they can focus about many other things in life other than food. And there is a basic science support for that. We know that certain hunger hormone levels, such as ghrelin, go significantly down. And some other hormones that counterbalance that effect are on the rise. So we have really basic science support for what is common observation of the patient, that they simply are less hungry, their relationship with food has changed, but nevertheless they enjoy the food.
Is that, you know how they talk about the apostat that we all have, that we eat to satisfy this part of our brain called the apostat? It sounds like hers was reset, and that's a common experience.
Correct. That totally new reset button, the easy button has been pressed, and individuals, patients are allowed to sort of give a second chance in balancing that energy in and energy out balance, which is really very complex, play between physical activity and food intake.
You know, we were talking about some of the causes, and we didn't mention something that's really important, especially with adolescents. Just think about that. Mm-hmm. So what do adolescents do now? They sit and play with machines. Right. How early will insurance companies pay for bariatric surgery?
We still have limit on adolescents in terms of insurance coverage, first of all. And traditionally, we've been operating in traditional NIH guidelines, which are, by the way, quite old by now, are recommending surgery between 18 and 65. Now, the upper age limit is sort of waived a little bit, but still it's truth for less than 18. So operating on a less than 18 would be under the research protocol and guidelines. And
if they have one of those disease comorbidities, type 2 diabetes in a 14-year-old.
And the body mass index has to be a little higher than for adults. We would rather go with a BMI more than 50 rather than 40, what we classically have lower end limit on adults.
You know, we haven't talked about how obesity and overweight are defined. And a lot of people talk about, I have big bones, and everybody in my family has big bones, and this is the weight I'm supposed to be. So could you briefly describe BMI, the lower limit of normal? Normal is 19 to 25, and then go through the process, and morbid obesity.
Yeah, the BMI is a very universal number that in a single digit we can communicate the sort of mass of the individual. Because what is for a very tall individual, let's say 280 pounds, would be normal, but for the short would be morbid obesity. So that single digit number between 18 and 25 is normal. Between 25 and 30 is regarded as overweight, between 30 and 35 as obese, and more than 35 as morbidly obese. And morbidly obese is really what we are addressing doing surgery.
What percent of the population approximately is morbidly obese?
It is on a tremendous increase. About 6 to 7% of individuals in this country now are considered morbidly obese, which means that their health and their life are at immediate risk.
From some of those conditions we've talked about, and some we haven't even mentioned.
They are not able to get life insurance. And
sleep apnea and asthma.
Certain cancers, cardiovascular disease, certainly diabetes. This is really something that we haven't been seen as a species, which probably took us 100,000 years to develop, but we see all these tremendous changes, virtue of the last 20, 30 years. And the other countries, such as Australia, Western Europe, Brazil, they're following that overweight and obesity trend. So we're not unique on Earth. We simply a little bit more developed and more cars and less physical activity.
We got there first. This is not a statistic that we're happy about.
Quite often, and obesity is one of the factors here.
So now that you are svelte, had to get a new wardrobe, what do you say to people who are you start your diet Monday morning, and by Tuesday morning most people are already off of it. What is your recommendation to them? What do you say to them?
I would say to try to eat healthy foods. And I had to lose weight before the surgery. I had to try, and what I did was I eliminated flour and sugar and ate more protein and vegetables and fruit. And I see.
Well, did that work?
Yes, I lost a little bit of weight.
A little bit.
A little bit, and
but when you have 120 pounds to lose.
Yeah, I was 262 pounds.
And how tall are you?
5'1".
So your BMI was somewhere around
about
49.
49. I was considered morbidly obese. And what had happened was, I always like to look nice, and there's large size clothes that you can wear, and so that was okay. But what was happening, which my primary care doctor was becoming very alarmed about, was that I was beginning to show these comorbidities, negative traits. My blood pressure was going up. I had a test from the cardiologist that I couldn't believe before the surgery. My heart was enlarged and fatty, and my aorta had become twisted from the weight pressing against my organs. My liver was enlarged and fatty.
Fatty liver, we don't even talk about it when we're listing the things, but that's also one of the side effects of obesity.
I had
comorbidities.
I had sleep apnea. I had 2 surgeries for over 2 years for pelvic fibroid tumors that I had seen an oncologist for, and they were beginning to think of them as being precancerous. I had postmenopausal bleeding.
So
and
what's happened
that
to you
has
other than
all
looking beautiful?
Gone away.
All of it.
All of it.
And this
I
is
am normal
very
in
important
every aspect.
to emphasize that what we see, and there was a classic presentation of so-called metabolic syndrome. It's a combination of hypertension, prediabetes, fatty liver disease, sleep apnea, that operation can reverse all these negative trends in virtually 90 to 95% of the time. And that makes people live about 12 years longer life in general. So we have one of the very unique medical intervention that can actually make people live significantly longer life in addition to better quality life.
Better quality of life is very
and
important.
That's what I would like to, if you don't mind my saying.
No, go right ahead.
My son is very proud of me. He's 21 years old. He used to, coming up the stairs, he would have to sometimes get behind me and help push me up the stairs because I had lost the ability, I was losing the ability to climb stairs and walk a distance. He said to me one day, "Mom, do you realize you ran up those stairs? I'm running, I'm bicycling now, I'm walking, I feel younger, I
know you look younger because I saw the other picture of you." So
I just feel like my life has taken a different turn, and I hope that other people can experience this as well.
I want to say that I really appreciate you all being here and hearing a successful story. We haven't even talked about the billions of dollars that it costs the healthcare system when people are obese, but just hearing the improvement in your quality of life, knowing that you're going to live longer because of it, is an encouragement to all those people watching you, and we thank you all for being here. And I want to say to those of you watching the show, if you've done the same thing over and over to lose weight and keep getting the same results, down 5 pounds, up 6, down 12 pounds, up 14 pounds, you know you need to do something else. Think about getting the information you need so that you can do something to improve your health that will work, that will finally free you from all of those terrible conditions that comes with being morbidly obese. I'm very, very pleased that you all shared your stories with us today.
Thank you for having me.
That's all for this month. If you want to watch past episodes of the show, go to brickartsmedia.org/BIT and then click on Healthbeat Brooklyn. And you can follow us on Facebook or Twitter on BK Independent TV. Right now, information about the programs and hospitals we've just featured is about to appear on your TV screen. Thanks for watching, and stay healthy.
Watch this and other Brooklyn Independent Television episodes online at brickartsmedia.org/BIT.